I see him walking up the street, khaki pants, Helly Hansen, 150 for the kicks. Chicks think that he's handsome. He's an outgoing kid with a whole lot of potential, but the hood is one-dimensional. The trappings are intentional. On his way to school, half his teachers don't believe in him. Multiple suspensions, the streets are who are teaching him. Now he's talking about dropping out. He like it better in the creases. His mama praying to Jesus, he don't run into polices. His RIP list will leave you speechless. How you supposed to teach this when you can barely reach this? War going on outside, no man is safe from. Do my best to show him the way, but I can't save him. Ankle box over the socks, falling deeper in the system. Shoulder chip is a boulder. It's harder for him to listen to anybody who cares. A raindrop of hope in the ocean of despair. Sometimes I want to give up, take my talents elsewhere, but the love is strong, can't help but see myself there. Since I made it out, I came back to put that work in, forever in their service, and this I know for certain. I believe in the rose that grows from concrete, and the seed that he sows is what he's going to reap. In the end, some lose, some win. To tell the truth, I pledge allegiance to the youth, and that's a promise I'm going to keep. It's deep. I wrote that verse for a student of mine named Jonathan. Jonathan was a fun-loving kid, very charismatic, but unfortunately, like many of the students that I encountered, Jonathan was taken violently by the streets over the last year. His favorite thing to do in school was to write rhymes and to record music. It was what he came to school for. There were times when Jonathan would be suspended or would get kicked out of school, and he would come after school just to ask if he could join the music production club. This is how much he was tied to it. When Jonathan passed, it made me wonder, are we doing everything that we can for our youth? Are we meeting their talents and their needs sufficiently? What are we doing, or what can we do better to keep our students alive and free? So, as I started to do my work, I started to see that there's a very, very big need for our students to become engaged. When you look at the Forbes.com study, they polled students from all over the country. What they found is that 53% of the students said that their schools were not engaging. When we look at inner city high school numbers, students are dropping out every day, tuning out, dropping out, not finishing school. What does that say to schools who have to find ways to meet the needs and ensure student success? What can we do differently to change this? Let me tell you a quick story. Several years ago, I worked in a small special ed private school here in DC. And I encountered students, we had maybe about 50 to 75 students total in our whole school. After a couple of years of working there, I was sitting in the guidance counselor's office and I was just chit-chatting and talking to her about the day and what was going on. And I looked around and I noticed she didn't have any college posters up, no financial aid forms, nothing for post-secondary training programs and pursuits. And I asked her, why don't you have any of this stuff up in your office for these students? Her response, come on, Ben, you know these kids aren't going to college. And when she said that, it struck me, not only because in the past years we had graduated 5 rounds of seniors, none of whom went to college or did any post-secondary work, but the fact that her expectations of the students were so low that she didn't even want to provide the access to the resources, even if it was something that they wanted. So as the year went on, I started to tap into my local arts community, and I would find poets, MCs, DJs, producers, dancers, writers, actors, and I brought them into the school to teach the arts programming and the after-school programming of the students. After about 2 years of this arts integration experiment, we started to see the student engagement was very high. Attendance numbers were at an all-time high. Behavior incidents, tardiness numbers went down, and we saw that this school was beginning to transform. The following year, we graduated 12 seniors, 9 of which went on to college or post-secondary pursuits. It was the first time in the history of the school. So now, fast forward a couple of years, I found myself in the studio recording with a former student who's now a sound engineer and went on to do sound engineering after high school. I recently called one of my former students from the same community that Jonathan is from to come and cater my wife's birthday party. He's an accomplished chef here now in DC. So seeing the arts integration and seeing the transformation of these students is what allowed me to move to the bigger picture, which is, how can I do this on a larger scale? With the No Child Left Behind laws, a lot of schools had to replace art and music and PE programming in favor of focusing only on test scores and academic achievement. What this did, though, was it left a gap between students meeting the needs of the schools meeting the needs of the students that they're serving. Classrooms were now filled with, rote test prep worksheets and pre-scripted curricula taught by teachers who were totally uninspired. And there was a huge disconnect and disengagement that was occurring as a result of this. I was meeting a lot of schools and teachers and leaders who were saying, look, I need a full-time art or music teacher, but I can't afford a person that I can hire in here and do it full-time. But I would love to have some of your artists that could come in and work with our students. And that's how Guerilla Arts was formed. I call that group Guerilla because they're so passionate about what they do and how they present their information to these youth. We're talking about capoeira instructors, martial arts teachers, photographers, dancers, poets, MCs, who are living among this community, who live among these youth that we serve, who would do nothing more, would love to share their talent and their passion. And so we brought them in and formed this organization. We've been around for 9 years now doing this work in after-school programs and with schools in general. So if schools are going to meet the needs of its students, they're going to have to find ways to tap into the community, but also to address the social, emotional, and the academic needs of its students. The way that we've been doing it has been a way of reimagining teaching and learning. Imagine your English class being co-taught by an MC or a poet, or your math class being co-taught by a DJ or music producer, having gardeners in science class, and videographers and photographers in social studies. This is the new paradigm that we're working with to create a space where students can safely explore what they want to explore. So we've been able to do this, but I know a lot of students are asking, how can I bring something like that to my school? And that's simple, that's very simple. There's a way to do it, and there's 3 steps, and I want to kind of explain that to you now. The first step is to identify your allies. Your allies are parents, mentors, teachers, friends, administrators, people in your school community who genuinely want you to win, who want to see you be the best that you can be. Identify who these people are. Form a group, form a student action committee in your school. Advocate for the resources that you want to bring to your school. It can be done. You can customize your school to be a place that you want to come to. The second step, after you build your allies, is to access your resources. There are tons of after-school programs, community centers, rec centers, foundations, etc., who would love to bring programming to your community and would love for you to join them. Find out where they are. Take a summer job. Work an internship. Yes, meaning for free. Do that because you're making an investment in yourself. Money is great, but money can't buy experience. Only time can buy that. And so put that investment in yourself right now. Find the access, the resources that you want to do and that you want to have and bring them to your school. Thirdly, after you identify your allies and after you access your resources, the next step is to exercise your power. You are the ones in charge as students. Access your power to bring the change to the schools that you want to see. When we look around the country at the recent events, you see what's happening where you have students in the University of Missouri, you have students in South Africa with the Fees Must Fall campaign, who are finding their allies, they're accessing their resources, and they're pulling together the people that they need to create the sweeping change that they want to see in their schools. But with this great power comes great responsibility. It's not enough for students to urge teachers and schools to bring in what they want in these acts and to bring in the resources and things that they want to see. They also have to step up to the plate as well. Students have to show up, be actively engaged, to build, exchange ideas, communicate with teachers, and advocate for what it is that they want. We're teachers, we're not mind readers. So you have to advocate and say what it is that you want. Okay? So these are the things that kind of bring those full circle. And in closing, what I'd like to say to you all is, a lot of schools talk about the 3 R's, reading, writing, and arithmetic. I would like to add 2 more R's to that scenario, and that's your relationships and your resources. Make it your job right now as a student to build your allies, access your resources, work your relationships, and create a plan for what you want to do once you leave high school, go on into college, or beyond. Okay? Teachers are a very important part of this village. It's here to raise you all. We're just supporting cast members. You all are the star of the show. So tell us what it is that you want. Let's work together to bring what you need. And let's get to work, because there's a lot of work to do. All right? Thank you.